All right, we're talking now about drugs, crime, and crime prevention. So, drug use is one means of predicting potential problems. There is a relationship between drug use and crime, and concerns with dealing with the related crime and societal problems. Therefore, there have been actions to target those involved with drugs in order to alleviate the crime problems. Let's look at self-reported drug use. So the Monitoring the Future MTF project survey representative high school students, 8th, 10th, and 12th graders, college students, young adults, and found that the most prevalent drug is alcohol. Marijuana is the next, and then the remainder of drugs are used by very few of the respondents. There's a great video here. It's only about 3 minutes long on Monitoring the Future survey, so please review this. All right, continuing on. The National Survey on Drug Use and Health showed that there's a representative sample of the U.S. respondents aged 12 and older that said marijuana is the most commonly used illicit drug. Hallucinogens and cocaine are the next most commonly used. And for most drugs, few individuals report use in any time category. All right, if you go to the National Survey on Drug Use and Health, you will see, if you click on surveys and then survey results, you can go look at the current surveys on drug use and health. So this will give you a current updated picture of that information, or if you ever need it for any future studies or papers you're going to write, this is a really good place to get information. All right, drug use among offending populations. So the ATOM program interviewed and did urine samples for testing. And it found that drug use was very common among the arrestees, that 40 to 50% of them tested positive for drug use. More than 1/4 of the federal inmates and almost 1/3 of the state prisoners report committing their offenses while using drugs, and 10% of the use in residential facilities are there due to drug-related offenses. So you're looking at the scope of drug use, and it does show the studies that have been done that there is a connection. All right, the ATOM program here is where you can go look and analyze data as far as the arrestee drug abuse monitoring program and see what the current numbers are and forecasts of what they forecast is going to occur. All right, so drug use causes crime. There is a psychopharmacological explanation that suggests that there are various drugs that have an impact on the user physically and psychologically that does impel them to want to commit crimes. Economics. People need drugs, they get addicted to them, and therefore they lose their jobs because they're addicted to the drugs, but yet they still have to pay for the drugs. And then you have a systemic violence, which refers to the violence from competition among drug dealers, working a certain corner, or robbery that's occurring from one drug dealer to another. The current drug war efforts that law enforcement is doing show that they're doing crackdowns on drug availability. They're leading some dealers and buyers to find new means for doing business. The impact only lasts as long as the officers maintain their presence there, and a lot of times officers are on schedules, and therefore the criminals and drug dealers learn these schedules. Treatment of drug users. There's a wide variety of treatments out there, and they come in 4 general types. You have 1, maintenance programs, 2, therapeutic communities, 3, outpatient drug-free programs, and 4, detox. NIDA's 13 principles of effective treatment go into, and I'm not going to read them all, you can pause here to read them, but for example, no single program is appropriate for all individuals. Just as we are all different, we all need an appropriate program. Also, treatment needs to be readily available. When somebody's ready, they need to have that. So these are some really great principles that are really good. So take time to pause and read through and understand these. You can also go to NIDA's website. You can go to the drugs, such as heroin or any other drugs, and you can look at the various stats and trends. Again, very interesting information, and something you can utilize in the future for a paper you may be writing or research that you may be doing. All right, maintenance programs. So one of the most common commonly heard of is the methadone maintenance program. This is for somebody that is addicted to heroin or opiates. They put them on methadone maintenance because they don't get a high from it, and it holds them over long term from going through the withdrawal effects. When they go on these programs, they have seen that they commit less crimes when they're on these programs, that their therapeutic communities, that they get counseling, learn social skills, all kinds of different things. Unfortunately, some of these studies have shown that there's marginal impact on crime. Detox. This is where the person, it's a short-term program, it's a controlled withdrawal. There could be counseling, other short-term follow-ups, and there's not a lot of evaluation on detox. All right, prevention programs. So obviously they aim to keep individuals from using drugs and committing crimes. They target juveniles. There's the 16 principles for effective prevention, and they range on the different issues and approaches as far as building self-esteem, being responsible, how to handle peer pressure. Here are the 16 principles. Again, I'm not going to cover them, but make sure you pause and know and understand these that are in your textbook. All right, education, information, knowledge programs. So these provide subjects with factual information about drugs, drug use, and the consequences of drug use. There are mixed results on these programs. They are effective at increasing the subject's knowledge. However, some youths that may not have thought of using drugs may turn to drugs, which is not good. And then you have your more well-known programs such as DARE, which is Drug Abuse Resistance Education. The problem with DARE is currently it's only taught for 10 weeks, an hour each week, and just as if you as a student only received math for 10 hours in 5th grade, you wouldn't know a lot of math. Drug education is not something that can just come in and be taught quickly like that. It needs to be taught, and skills need to be built upon each year. And so unfortunately that's why a lot of the negativity comes from DARE. As you can tell just from my response, I did teach DARE, and I can tell you just from the 10 classes I taught, and I used to teach it also when it was 17 classes, with the 17th class being a graduation, that I can see why there's not a lot of effectiveness with it, because a lot of the students are just in awe with having a police officer in the room. And so I do agree with the program as far as it brings a police officer in the room and it introduces the subject and how to say no, which is the common campaign behind it. However, again, if it's not done every year consistently and reiterated, it does not have long-term effects. All right, I just covered DARE a little bit more, so you can pause here to read through it if you want. And same with this. All right, so there, as we talked, there is a strong correlation between drugs and crime. It's the drug use can be used as a predictor of someone committing criminal acts, and drug prevention and treatment programs can be effective at limiting or eliminating other crime. All right, we'll see you for the next presentation.